In today's training, I'm going to be giving you guys the financial favor framework. I'm telling you this right now. If you are ready to grow your income to outrageous levels, you're going to want to listen to this training because in just 5 simple steps, anyone can take these 5 steps, begin to apply them powerfully to their life, and literally begin to start seeing crazy favor in your finances. Most people are just going to listen to the training today and just be like, oh, wow, that's a cool thing. You might even take a couple notes. Oh, well, that was cool. But most people are not willing to do it because some of this stuff just sounds so easy. It sounds so simple. Like, it can't be that easy. Yes, it can. Okay, one of the reasons why so many people stay broke, they stay in scarcity mindset, is because we have been brainwashed by the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism, okay, aka child prisons, aka schools, whatever you want to call them, okay? We have been brainwashed in society to think that everything should be super hard in order to level up, okay? Now, yes, you need to overcome difficulties to get to the next level. But guys, it's not this like very complicated like system to try to level up. Like, this is why so many people, they don't believe that it's possible to grow their money to outrageous levels because they're only looking through the frames, they're only looking through the lenses that society has put on them to say, you can only make money this way or this way. And those 2 ways are with your time and with your effort. Okay, so I know many of you guys and gals watching here, it's happened for me, it's happened for a number of my students, okay? We have learned this principle. I talk about it over and over and over, but guys, it's just true. I have discovered for myself, my students are discovering it, it's easier to make a lot of money in a short amount of time than it is to make a little bit of money over a long period of time. Now, here's the thing. Someone who's skeptical or who is broke-minded or scarcity-minded, they're going to hear something like that and they're instantly going to think, oh, it's impossible to make money fast. You can't make a ton of money quick. Those are quote-unquote get-rich schemes, right? Like, those don't exist, and anything that makes a bunch of money fast, it's illegal and blah, blah, blah. But here's the punchline. Why are people seeing this opportunity to make a lot of money in a short amount of time as something like this is not possible? Because they have those lenses on that let them see making money through the filter of the only way you can make money is with your time and your effort. So they're thinking, okay, well, to make a bunch of money, I have to give a ton more time and I have to give a ton more effort, and no one has that much time in the day. So anyone who's rich, anyone who's making a bunch of money, and especially if they're doing it fast, they're crooks, right? It's a scam. It's impossible. But I'm telling you guys and gals today, in this training, I'm going to be giving you the 5-step framework that anyone can take to hopefully get these limiting belief glasses off of your face, okay, and put on a new pair of glasses. It's almost like an operating system, okay? Like, if you are running a computer on like 7 or 8 or 10 generation old software, this thing is going clunky, it's going slow. It could kind of do some of the same things that it was supposed to, but this thing's glitching out. This thing is going slow, it's clunky, it's like brr, 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 brr. Like, how many of y'all remember the old dial-up internet days? You guys, some of you guys and gals watching the training, you're on that operating system. You're like, I'm going to get on the internet, and it's only going to take 47 minutes for me to connect when it comes to your finances, right? But then some of us are plugged in to the fiber network, bro, where it's like a gig up, a gig down. They're even working on like 5 gigs up, 5 gigs up, like lightning fast, right? The software in the computer is way more sophisticated. Like, at the touch of a button, it does like all this work. The same thing goes for your finances. And guys, in this training, these 5 steps, I believe, are going to be a major upgrade for you so that you can tap into the financial framework as well. Let's get into it. What's the first thing that you've got to get going when it comes to the financial favor framework, okay? The number one thing that you have got to get going is your belief system, okay? How many of y'all know that if you don't believe that it's possible, then it's not going to be possible for you? Like straight up. Like if you don't believe that you can actually become a millionaire, like it's not going to happen for you. Like I'll tell you guys this, okay? Years ago, this is probably 7 or 8 years ago, when my wife and we begin to go through our processes, okay, and start our business journey and learn these skills and start leveling up. It was so interesting because I remember we sat down at our kitchen table, okay? When we first got married, we lived in Section 8 housing. It was absolutely crazy. We were so happy. We lived next to a crackhead. It was absolutely nuts, right? We didn't know how bad we were struggling. It was absolutely insane. We sat down at our little kitchen table in our tiny little apartment when we first got married. And this is more than 7 or 8 years ago, but it started activating 7 or 8 years ago. When we first got married, we sat down and we're eating dinner one night, and I look at my wife and I say, this might sound crazy, but I really desire to be a millionaire. And she looked at me and she goes, well, you better. She goes, only $1 million? And I was like, what do you mean only $1 million? That's like the biggest number ever. And she's like, why don't we desire to be a 10 million or 100 millionaire? Like, why don't we just go for it? I'm like, well, I guess. She's like, and my wife, she goes, do you believe it's possible? And I was like, I think so. She goes, no. I didn't ask you if you think it's possible. She said, do you believe it's possible? How many of y'all are thankful for like wives who have the spirit of wisdom, who are always calling us knucklehead husbands? Sometimes we're knucklehead husbands higher in our belief system, bro. And I was like, you know what? I do believe it's possible. Right? And here's the thing, okay? I want to break a scripture down for us, okay? Mark chapter 9, verse 23. Check this out. Mark chapter 9, verse 23. Jesus said something so interesting, bruh. I know I'm calling y'all bruh, okay? Jesus said something so interesting. He said this. He said, if you can believe, then all things will be possible. But guess what the punchline is here, guys? See, so many people are like, all things are possible. Easy now, because Jesus didn't just flippantly say, hey, all things are possible. There was a preface to this statement, and guess what the preface was? The preface was, if you can believe. If you can believe. Some insights here for you, okay? The biggest thing you need to get right about making money or becoming a millionaire, etc., building your business, the biggest thing you got to get right is, do you even believe it's possible?
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the training. I wanted to take a few moments real quick to invite you to join me for my upcoming Create and Sell Digital Products 5-day challenge, okay? This is a 5-day live virtual event where I invite entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs just like you to come spend 5 days with me and get live training on the 5 moves that anyone can take in order to scale and skyrocket their business and their revenue. Now, the best way to join is as a VIP, because VIPs get to spend an extra hour with me every single day and ask your questions live. My most successful students have all been VIPs. That's the best way to join. Listen, you don't want to miss the upcoming Create and Sell Digital Products 5-day challenge. It's completely live. It's coming up right around the corner. Click the link down below in the description. Grab your ticket today. Now back to the training.
Do you even believe it's possible? Like, do you believe it's possible to build a successful business? Do you actually believe it's possible to make 6 figures a month, 6 figures a week, 6 figures a day? Do you even believe that's possible? Because if you don't believe these things are possible, they're going to be impossible for you. That's why Jesus said, if you can believe, but only if you can believe, then all things will be possible. So number one, Rome, if you can scroll down for me a little bit there. Number one, you got to get your belief system right, man. The same way my wife and I, how did we become multi-millionaires over the past just handful of years alone? We started believing that it could be possible for us. And it wasn't just like this, like, you know, confession, like, we're going to be millionaires one day. It wasn't just that. It was like, wait a second. I actually believe this. Like, this can actually happen for us. And if you're taking notes, write this down, okay? You see, many people think they have a problem doing the thing. But most people's problem is believing it's actually possible. Most people think like, well, man, doing that's hard. No. You know what's real hard? Believing it's possible. That's the biggest hurdle to overcome, because if you can believe, like Jesus said here, if you can believe, then all things are possible. It's not doing the stuff. Doing the stuff is the easy part. Believing it's possible, that's where you got to get your mind reprogrammed out of this cultural hypnotic societal mechanism that society's put us into, that has brainwashed us into thinking that, oh, no, you can't be, you could maybe be a millionaire if you go to school, go to college, get a good job, climb the corporate ladder, work 9 to 5, 40 to 50 years, and then maybe one day, like if you're old, if the economy doesn't crash, if somehow inflation stops, maybe one day out there, you worked hard, you saved, you invested, maybe you could be a millionaire, right? But in reality, it's this. We are living in the greatest hour of history when it comes to making money, to building wealth, that history has ever seen, period. Like, guys, people are literally making money. Like, there are 20-year-old billionaires now. Like, that's never happened in history before. Why? Because the opportunity is absolutely mind-blowing. But it can't happen for you, number one, if you don't believe. Number two, if you've got on these limited belief glasses, like, oh, that's impossible. And anyone who becomes rich, they're a scammer because it's not even like, give me a break, man. You got to change your belief system. Okay. In fact, I need at least 10 people in the comments right now. Drop these words: belief system. You've got to upgrade your belief system, and you've got to begin to believe that it's actually possible. Do you actually believe? Here's my question to you. Here's my challenge to you guys. Do you actually believe it's possible to replace your income with digital products? Yes or yes? Do you actually believe it's possible to become the first millionaire in your family? Yes or yes? Come on, talk to me in the comments, right? Do you actually believe it's possible? Do you actually believe that it's possible to create so much wealth that it will be more than enough for you, your children, and your children's children? The punchline is this, guys. The punchline is here. If you can believe, then it will be possible. If you're taking notes, write this down. I just want to challenge some people on here, okay? What if the only impossibility in your life was that something was impossible? What if the only impossibility in your life was that something was actually impossible? Drop it in the comments. Say, I believe, I believe, I believe. You got to believe that it's true. You got to believe it's possible for you, because if you don't believe, it ain't going to happen. Okay. Number two, if you're ready for number two, drop a 2 in the comments. Okay. Second thing you've got to get going if you want to tap into financial favor. Here's number 2 in this framework. Okay. You got to get your belief right, and then guess what? You have got to get your behavior right. Can I break something down for y'all? Just say, break it down, Rick, in the comments, okay? Say, break it down, Rick. I'm going to break it down with my dance. Okay, here's what I want to break down for y'all, okay? Every person, if you're taking notes, write this down. Every person has 2 minds. Did you know that? Every person has 2 minds. We all have 2 minds, and the first mind is our conscious mind, okay? And the second mind is our subconscious mind. If you're taking notes, write this down just so you can be very clear and aware, because I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, so we have 2 minds, a conscious mind and a subconscious mind, okay? The conscious mind is responsible for what you say. It's the actual realization, right? It's your consciousness. Okay, so the conscious mind is responsible for what you say, but watch this. The subconscious mind is responsible for what you do. And here's the problem. Okay, like I said, number one, you got to get your beliefs right. Here's the problem. There's a ton of people out there. Oh, I believe I'm going to be a gajillionaire. Okay, cool. You are saying that from your conscious mind, but I can tell by your actions that you don't actually believe it because your behavior, the behavior that is coming from your subconscious mind is not lining up with what you are speaking from your conscious mind. Okay? And it reminds me of a little story. How many of y'all want to hear a story? Story time with Uncle Rick, right? Drop in the comments, say story time with Uncle Rick. Reminds me of a little story I heard, okay? Of this sweet little acorn who was sitting on a windowsill one day, right? And this little acorn lived on this little windowsill. And it was so cool because this little acorn, the view outside of the window was this big, beautiful, majestic oak wood forest. The most gigantic, beautiful oak trees whose heights reached towards the heavens. They were rich, they were full, they were enormous, they were majestic. And every day this little acorn would stare out the window and be like, wow, this is amazing. Oh my gosh. And the more this little acorn would stare out the window, the more his little inspiration turned to disappointment. Why? Because the more this little acorn looked out the window, the more this little acorn believed, I want to be an oak tree. In fact, I believe I have what it takes to be an oak tree, but I just don't know how to become an oak tree. And so more and more and more every single day, the more this little acorn looked out the window, his little inspiration turned to discouragement over and over and over because inside this little acorn felt, I've got what it takes to be an oak tree. I just don't know how to do it. And day after day after day, he got more and more and more frustrated to the point where his frustration turned to tears. And now every single day, morning till night, all the little acorn could do was just weep and weep and weep. And just weeping and weeping and weeping because he was so discouraged. Looking at this beautiful forest filled with oak trees, he knew he could become an oak tree. He just didn't know how. And one day while the little acorn is sitting there crying and crying and crying, a little sparrow flies over and lands on his windowsill. And the little sparrow goes, hey, what's wrong? hey buddy, what's wrong? He goes, I'm just so sad. I'm just discouraged. And the sparrow goes, yeah, I've been hearing you crying for like weeks now. What in the world is happening? And the little acorn goes, yeah, I just look out and I see these amazing oak trees and I know that I have what it takes to be one. I feel like I'm called to be one of those. I just don't know how. And the little sparrow, in its little sparrow wisdom, looks at the acorn and goes, hey, you know what your problem is? You're just in the wrong environment. And the little acorn goes, huh? What do you mean? Wrong environment? What do you mean? And the sparrow looks at the acorn and he says, listen, don't you know who you are? You're actually you are the beginnings of a gigantic, beautiful oak tree, but you can never become an oak tree living like this. Like you're in the wrong environment. And the acorn goes, okay, well, what should I do? And the sparrow goes, hey, I got you. He said, would you allow me to pick you up from this environment, place you in the right environment so that way you can start getting your behavior right? Because honestly, up here, like crying about it, it's the wrong behavior. I'm glad you're starting to believe that you have what it takes, because you do, but you're never going to get there if you don't start getting in the right environment and acting out the right behavior that it takes. And the acorn goes, well, what do you mean right behavior? He goes, dude, you got to get planted. You got to start putting some roots down. You got to go through the process. It's going to take years, okay? But if you can go through the process, put some roots down, get planted in the right environment, get around other oak trees, over time, it's going to be so easy for you. And the little acorn goes, I would love that. Can you help me? And he says, sure, I'll help you. So the little sparrow swoops up this little acorn, flies him over to the forest, plants him in the ground, and you know the rest of the story. Over the next few years, this little acorn got in the right environment, started acting like an oak tree and not like a broke, sad, depressed little acorn who lived on a windowsill, right? They started actually doing what they were called to do because they're in the right environment. They got their behavior right. And before you know it, they started sprouting up. And in just a few years, the little acorn became the mighty oak tree. You already know where I'm going with this, okay? Maybe you are watching, maybe you're going through the training today and you're feeling like that little acorn. Oh, I know I could build wealth. I know I could get my finances right. I believe I could start a business. I just don't know how. And here I am, your boy, Uncle Ricky P. I'm the little sparrow coming over going, hey, what's going on with you? What? You don't have to cry. Like, you just have to get in the right environment and change your behavior. Let me help you. Right? And so guys, here's what I want to encourage you with this story. I want to ask you some challenging questions, okay? If you're taking notes, write these down and ask yourself these questions. Are you behaving like a wealthy person or are you behaving like a broke person? Okay, now I don't mean to step on some toes, but I need to step on some toes about this, okay? You and I both know there are people right now who would rather drive an extra 10 miles down the road to save 2 cents a gallon on gas, right? Like, you and I both know there are people right now who are like so stressed out about the price of eggs. Oh my gosh, eggs used to be $6, now they're $10, right? You and I both know there are people right now who are stressed out about the price of milk, the price of bread, the price of eggs. They're going to drive an extra 20 miles down the road to save 2 cents a gallon on gas. Guys, are you behaving like a wealthy person or are you behaving like a broke person? You're never going to become an oak tree acting like that, right? And I'm not just saying be flipping out there. Well, Rick just said I should go out there and just buy the most expensive gas all the time. Actually, I think you should because it trains your mindset. But the point is this, okay? You have got to start treating yourself like a premium person, because if you don't treat yourself like a premium person, why would anybody else treat you like a premium person? You got to change your behavior, man. It's one thing to say it and to speak it out of your conscious mind. It's another thing to believe it in your subconscious mind to where your behavior actually backs up what you say you believe. Are you behaving like a wealthy person or are you behaving like a broke person? Are you having wealthy conversations or are you having broke conversations? Oh man, the flights are so expensive these days. Oh my gosh. Oh, the market's crashing. What are we gonna do? Inflation, blah, blah, blah. Like, give me a break. Rich people are not talking like that. I am never in my life going to be caught. You're never going to hear me complaining about inflation or the economy, because guess what? As a God-anointed entrepreneur, I am not connected to this world's economy first. I am connected to God's economy first. And what that means is that as a God-anointed entrepreneur, I create my own economy. Why would I try to complain about what's going on out there when I have no control over that? I can just tap into the Word of God. I can tap into God's ideas. The Bible says the secret of the Lord is with those who fear Him. I am going to walk closely with God. He's going to tell me His secrets on what I should do in my business, with my money, in building my own economy. I'm going to do it. And guess what? While everybody else is in a famine, I am going to be reaping 100-fold in the same year, just like Isaac. Now, I know I'm getting a little Bible with some of y'all in here, but y'all need to pick your behavior up, okay? Are you acting out of scarcity or are you acting out of abundance? Are you speaking broke words or are you speaking wealthy words? Are you behaving like a broke person or are you behaving like a wealthy person, okay? So that's the second thing. Got to get your behavior right, okay? Number 3, drop a 3 in the chat if you guys are ready for number 3. Number 3, okay? This one's huge, man. The third thing you got to do is you got to become. You must become more. In fact, I need at least 10 people in the comments right now. Drop these words in the comments. I must become more. Okay, now listen, I know each and every one of us here, we have people who love us. Oh, honey, don't you dare change. I love you just the way you are. That's awesome, and I understand the intent of what you're trying to say, but the punchline is this, Grandma, I appreciate that you love me just the way I am, but guess what? If I stay the way that I am literally doing a disservice to the potential that God has placed upon my life. Like, so many people stay broke, so many people stay in scarcity, so many people never get favor on their finances because so many people get to a certain level in their career, in their money, etc. And so many people, they put a period where God desired to put a comma. Well, I'm making 6 figures. I guess I made it. I think I'm good now. That's all? Like, you were created in the image and likeness of God, and you think the most and the best that you could do is 6 figures? I'm not just talking about money, guys. I'm talking about all potential in life, right? Like all the God-given potential. So many people, they get to a certain place of potential in their 30s and their 40s, and like, well, guess this is good enough. Are you kidding me? Like, bruh, Caleb was taking mountains at 80 years old. Well, why would I become more? I don't want to become more. Guys, it's the age-old principle I tell you over and over and over and over and over, and you're going to continue to hear me say this over and over and over. You must become more so that you can do more, so that you can have more. You must become more so that you can do more, so that you can have more. Okay, guys, I don't have the time right now because I want to get through these other steps in this framework. But guys, in the book of Genesis, this is what God said, okay? God created Adam and Eve, and then it literally says this, and God blessed them. Okay, so the first thing that God desires for us, it's the law of first mentions. God blesses them. So God desires for us to be blessed. And then God, what did he go on to say? He said, be fruitful, multiply, and subdue the earth. Did you see it? Be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth. He said, be fruitful. What does that mean? He means become more, multiply. That means do more. And then he said, subdue the earth. What does that mean? So that you can have more. Drop some fire emojis in the comments if y'all are tracking with me. You've got to become, okay? It's not just enough to believe. That's where it starts. You have to believe that it's possible. Okay, then you got to change your behavior, but then you've got to become the person that it takes. If you don't become the person that it takes, you're never going to be able to do what is required of you to do, and therefore you're never going to have whatever you desire to have. And here's the problem, guys. Can I break this down for you even more? It's supposed to go in this order. Oops. It's supposed to go in this order. Be, then do, then have. Okay? This is the way that God designed it. God blessed them. He said, be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth, be, do, have. Okay? But where most people make the mistake is they flip this on its head and they think that God's order works backwards, and it doesn't. Here's what most people do. Most people, they start with the desire to have. Oh man, it must be nice. Can I tell y'all how many people have literally like texted me or snarkily said like, oh, it must be nice, Rick. Must be nice to go on those vacations. Must be nice to get rich. Must be nice. Oh, you're Rick. It's easy for you. It must be nice. And you know what I say to them? It is nice. It is nice. You know why? I'm not trying to be rude to you. It is nice because I actually became the person that it took to do the stuff so that I can actually have what God has called me to have. So yes, it is nice. But people's problems are, they start with here, oh, it must be nice. Oh, I'd never be able to be a millionaire. I can't build a business. There's no way about. They start with have, and so guess what? It limits them on their do. Oh man, building a business is gonna be so hard. Who can do that? Like, it is mind-blowing to me how many people I will give them frameworks like this, and I'm like, here's the framework. And it's like, all you gotta do is do the framework. And they're like, the framework is too high. Like, I don't want to jump over it. Well, go around. I don't want to go around it. Well, go through it. I have to actually go through it? Like, huh? Well, go under it. I don't want to have to go on. Like, are you serious? Like, literally, man, God has laid out these frameworks in his word for us. And so many people stay broke, they stay in scarcity, they stay in lack because they're so lazy, because they're starting on the have. Oh, must be nice. Oh, I can never do something like that, blah. And guess what? It keeps them stuck in who they currently are. You and I both know people who are in the exact same position, doing the exact same stuff, and literally watching the same shows, doing the same things, telling the same jokes, speaking the same language that they were 20 or 30 years ago. Sitting in the same chair, in the same house, on the same block they were 20 years ago, because they're focused on the have, so therefore it discourages them on the do, and they are not willing to become more. But guys, flip this on his head. Do God's principles the way that he said to do it. He said you must become more so that you can do more, so that you can have more. If you're taking notes, write this down. If you can become who God has called you to become, then you can do what God has called you to do. Then you can have what God has called you to have. I'll tell you this goes for every area of life. There's a reason why over the past 9 months, I've been on my health journey, right? I'm dropped over 125 pounds in the past month. Why? Because I was not the person that it took physically to do the stuff that God's called me to do so I could have the stuff God's called me to have in my physical body. Like, this is not just for your finances. This is for everywhere, man. This is for your marriage. This is for your kids. It's for your relationship. It's for your health. It's for your finances. It's for your business. It's for all of it. You've got to believe that it's actually possible. You have to change your behaviors. Then you have to become the person. I need at least 10 people in the comments. Drop these words. Become the person. I'll tell you this right now. If I could just keep it authentic and 100 with you right now. One of the biggest wrestles of my life right now, one of the biggest struggles of my life right now is I always wrestle with, gosh, there's just so much more potential in there. And I'm not there yet, right? And people close to me, they think I'm crazy. Like, what? You've done way more than most people I know. And I'm like, I know, but it's not about doing and doing and having is cool, but I want to become. And by the way, it's not this like weird, like, identity, like I'm not good enough. Oh, no, it's not that. It's just, I feel potential. I feel purpose. I feel drive. Like God in his unlimited ability has put unlimited nature on the inside of each and every one of us. And I believe the same way it goes for like our love for God. There is a wonderful song back in the day, How Far Will You Let Me Go? How Abandoned Will You Let Me Be? And it was talking about my love for God. Yes, how far will you let me go? How abandoned will you let me be? But guess what? How far will you let me go in my business? How abandoned will you let me be? How far will you let me go in my marriage? How abandoned will you let me be? How far will you let me go in my health? How abandoned will you let me be in my health? Guys, it's for all of it. It's for all of it, all right? If you're ready for number 4, drop a 4 in the comments. So number 1, you got to believe that it's true. Number 2, you got to change your behavior. Number 3, you got to become more. Number 4, you got to work that business, man. You got to start your business. You got to build a business. Well, God's called me to work a job. That's cool. That's cool. I would contend, lovingly contend, that I believe God's best choice for his people is to start a business. Nothing wrong with working a job, but like I've said to you guys before, even people that work on my team, all of them have entrepreneurial mindsets. Like all of them. Like they're either doing entrepreneurial stuff in their marriage. They have side hustles, like they're building business. And yes, they're also working in my companies, but like they're entrepreneurial in their mindset. Like if you're taking notes, write this down. You can never become a millionaire with an employee mindset. What's an employee mindset? The employee mindset, I'm only working 9 to 5. I'm only doing the minimum that is required of me to do. And I'm just going to collect a paycheck. Oh, I can't wait to get to the weekend. Listen, if you're living for the weekend, your stuff is broke, man. If you're living for Saturday and Sunday, woo, here comes the weekend. If you're living for the weekend, something's broke in there, right? Like, yes, we should rest. Yes, we should have a Sabbath. I just got back from a beautiful vacation. We took a wonderful Sabbath. But guess what? Like, we should be out here cranking, serving people, right? Like serving people, loving people, solving problems for people so that their life can be made better. And then whenever they pay us, that's business 101, we solve problems for people to make their life better. They pay us and our life gets better. Like, we should be doing that as much as we desire to do it. Like, it's so beautiful the way that God has set this up. And guys, business, you want to get favor on your finances? Start a business, work your business, and be committed to it even when it gets hard. If you're taking notes, write this down. You can have what you desire in roughly about 5 years. But you have to first know what it is so that you can aim at it. Most people don't even know what they desire. What do you want? I don't know. I just want to be comfortable. No, that's too small. I just want to be comfortable, man. I just want to make enough so me and my family. No, that's too small. Why is that too small? Because the Bible says, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. The Bible says a righteous man or woman leaves an inheritance for their children's children. So if your vision is only big enough to fit your life in it, it's too small. What is it that you desire? Get a bigger vision than just me and mine. As long as I'm comfortable, brother, like, well, let's go. I just want to be comfortable. Like, get a bigger vision. The reason why you're not making the kinds of money that you desire to make right now is because your vision is too small. You're not serving enough people at a strong enough level yet. It's literally this is how it works, man. The money that you have right now, or the lack thereof, is directly related to how well you have served people. And listen, I know there's a huge part of my audience, they're Christians, right? And because I've come from the ministry background and I was a missionary and worship leader for 25 years, I get it. There's a ton of people like, well, I serve this and I serve that and like blah, blah. I get that. But I'm talking about your financial situation is literally connected to how well and how much value you have brought to the market. Okay, I'm not talking about spiritual things. Yes, every single one of us who serve spiritually, Jesus has a reward for us in the next age, and I can't wait. That's incredible. And he's a wonderful judge, so I'm looking forward to that. Let's see how it all shakes down. But today, right now, we're not in the age to come yet. Okay, right now, today, the money that you do or do not have is directly connected to the value that you have brought to the market. And if you desire to have that number bigger, then you need to get serving people stronger. You need to bring more value. You need to start that business. If you're taking notes, write this down. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 3. Ecclesiastes 5:3 says it like this: the dream comes through much business. Let me ask you this question. Do you have any dreams? What are your dreams? Like, what are you dreaming about? Like, I dream of having this beautiful, amazing property. Or maybe your dream is I want to take my whole family first class to Italy for a month or whatever it is. Or, I want to be able to build orphanages. I want to be able to rescue orphans. I want to help with trafficking, blah, 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 whatever it is. Like, what is your dream? And the punchline is this. This is the Bible. The dream comes through much business. In fact, I'm going to let you all in on just a little secret here. On my phone here, there we go. You probably can't see it there, but on my home screen, it literally is Ecclesiastes 5 verse 3. The dream comes through much business. I literally baptize myself in this scripture every single day to remind myself that every single dream that I have spiritually, okay, for charity, for ministry, for business, for finances, for my family, every single dream that God has put in my heart will come, but it will only come through much business. You got to get your business started. You got to work on your business. You got to crank on your business. You got to be unapologetic about your business because, guys, your business, if you're doing it right, is literally serving people. Why would you be ashamed? Why would you be embarrassed about serving people? Well, I'm just not into sales. Like, give me a break. That's how the whole entire world's economy goes around every single day. The only reason why any person anywhere has any money at all is because somebody somewhere sold something for a profit. They all did business. I was driving my kids to school the other morning, and there are thousands of cars on the highway, and I remember just thinking and smiling to myself, wow, every single person on this road right now is heading to do some kind of business, whether they work at a job, whether they're going to a business, whether they're going to buy groceries at the grocery store, whether they're heading to the gas station. Every single person on this freeway are involved in some kind of business, and this is how the world goes round. Right? The dream will come through much business. And if you're taking notes, write this one down. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 2. Ecclesiastes 11, verse 2 says it like this: invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. Because you do not know what may come upon the land. Here's what King Solomon was telling us. One source of income is too close to zero. One stream of income is too close to zero. This is why most people who are broke-minded and in scarcity and in lack, one of the reasons why people stay in that place is because they are their only income-producing asset. Their time and their effort is their only income-producing asset. But guess what a business does for you? A business helps you begin to generate a stronger stream of income, multiple streams of income. I have multiple streams of income, guys. I've got multiple business. I've got multiple streams in my multiple businesses. This is how it's supposed to happen. And why is Solomon saying, you better invest, you better get more streams than one? Why? Because you never know what's going to come upon the land. You never know what tomorrow brings, right? You never know whenever you're going to get laid off from that job. You never know whenever, hey, we can't afford it anymore. We're downsizing, right? You never know when the thing's going to dry up. So why not build a business that has multiple streams coming, right? This is Bible stuff, guys. You want to get favor on your finances? Do the Bible, okay? And number 5, drop a 5 in the comments if you guys are ready for number 5. Okay, so real quick, let's recap. Number 1. You got to start believing that it's actually possible. Number 2, you got to change your behavior to move from your conscious mind into your subconscious mind. Don't just speak it. I want you to actually work on changing your beliefs, because your conscious mind is what you say, your subconscious mind is what you do, okay? And that will prove your actual beliefs is what you do. Number 3, you've got to become more. Number 4, you got to start that business, okay? And number 5, I love this one. Number 5, if you've made it this far into the training and you're enjoying it and you still haven't checked out my upcoming 5-day live virtual challenge, Create and Sell Digital Products, what is you doing? Check out this testimony right here of one of my current students. He took the information that I'm going to be sharing with you in the upcoming 5-day training to make $15,000 in one single week. Click the link down below, join as a VIP. We'll see you in the challenge. Now, back to the training. You got to build your finances in such a way that you can pass on the baton. Got to start thinking bigger than yourself, man. I said this earlier. I was getting ahead of myself, but listen, if your vision only includes you and yours, I just want to be comfortable. That's all I want. I don't want to be a millionaire. Then guess what? You're never going to be a millionaire. And you're living a selfish life, because if you can only take care of you and yours, we're just comfortable for us, how are you going to take care of anybody else? How are you going to leave an inheritance for your children and your children's children? How are you going to actually step into what the Bible calls in Proverbs 13:22 righteousness, which is a righteous man, a righteous woman leaves an inheritance to their children's children? And by the way, before you get super spiritual on me, it's talking about spiritual inheritance. I lovingly contend with you. The next part of this verse says, and the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. It's not talking about spiritual. Yes, you should have a spiritual inheritance for your family, yes. But this verse that most people take out of context, it's talking about money. It's talking about wealth. And it's so crazy, because I know this is going to mess with some religious minds, but guess what? God has tied this idea of fulfilling your potential in business, in wealth, in finances to your righteousness. What? It's not Rick's words, it's the Bible. It's Proverbs 13:22. Okay, so listen, if you want to see favor on your finances, you've got to do this framework. You got to believe, okay? You got to change your behavior. You got to become more. You got to start that business or businesses. And then you have to build it in such a way that it's bigger than you and yours, to where you can pass the baton onto your children and to your children's children.